Excuse me, Miss Ayers. Hold on, I just want to make sure this is recording. First of all, I was a guidance counselor in Little Haiti for 2 years. And I had parents, Little Haiti's in Miami, by the way. I had parents and students crying their 5th grade year to make sure that their students could get into the charter schools in the district, despite the fact, because the charter schools were higher performing, despite the fact that the public educational expenditures were higher. So I guess I'm just trying to understand exactly what your solutions are, because in the same breath you said you're anti-government, but then you're also anti-privatization. So I don't understand what your solutions are specifically for the African American community, where you know, whatever you were saying earlier about how we're not able to compete, those numbers are even more stark in the black community. So again, you said you're anti-government and you're also anti-privatization. So what are your solutions?
Well, you know, the thing what we need to do is we need to invest more in the public schools.
But what I was saying to you was that the per pupil expenditures, I'm sorry, the per pupil expenditures are higher in the inner cities, but we're still not getting the results.
Here's the truth about the charter schools. Here's the truth about the charter schools, and it's all the research and you can find it. They select their students, and they're not doing better. So if you go look at the Stanford study from this year about charter schools, they are not doing better.
But the schools I send my students to were doing better.
Bill Ayers said he was telling me the truth about charter schools. The truth about the study is that Stanford researchers found that 2 subgroups fare better in charters than in the traditional public school system: students in poverty as well as English language learners. The overwhelming majority are Black or Hispanic. Stanford researchers found that students in these 2 categories who attend charter schools routinely outperform their traditional public school counterparts in both reading and math. Out of 2,403 charter schools, 63% were either statistically indistinguishable from their traditional public school counterparts, or they showed a significant improvement in math scores. Charter school students in elementary and middle school have significantly higher rates of learning than their peers in traditional public schools. Mr. Ayers said that Arnie Duncan was famous for turning around failing schools, but the reality is an analysis of students entering the Chicago City colleges in the fall of 2006 showed that 69% were not prepared for college-level reading, 79% were not prepared for writing, and 95% were not prepared for college-level math.
To me in Chicago, and a parent will say to me, I would like to get a good education for my kids. I notice that there's a military school over here, and they seem to be doing better. I'll choose the military school. I don't want the military school, but it's the only chance I have. I'm sympathetic to people who feel that their chances and their choices are narrow. Why can't we allow broader choices and keep these things in the public domain? Why are we privatizing schools? Why are we privatizing the fire department?
But if they're showing results for kids who look like me, so they are showing results. I'm telling you, I sent my students to charter schools where they were able to compete.
Look,
and if they went to the public schools, they wouldn't have been able to compete.
And we can check it out. But Arnie Duncan has gone to Washington, D.C., famous for turning around Chicago failing schools, correct?
Mr. Ayers said he wanted options and that he was, quote, sympathetic towards parents and students like the ones I've served. So why is he in favor of getting rid of charter schools as options for the economically disadvantaged?